Oil prices fell sharply today after yesterday's historic rally. The price of domestic crude settled more than 5% lower after the Saudi energy minister said the kingdom's oil supply will soon be back online. Not surprisingly, the unprecedented attacks on the Saudis' oil industry has been the talk of a major energy conference this week in Houston. And that is where Brian Sullivan is for us tonight.
The last 48 hours in the oil and gas market have been some of the most volatile and wild the world has ever seen. After word of a massive attack on a Saudi facility on Saturday shocked the world, oil spiking higher on Monday, rising around the world by nearly 20%. But the Saudis working hard to try to calm concerns, saying they plan to be back online in a couple of weeks and be fully back to production in October. Earlier on Tuesday, the Saudi energy minister, newly appointed and one of the sons of the king, came out and touted his country's ability to get back to normal so quickly.
Where would you find a company in the whole world that went through this devastating attack and came out like a phoenix from the ashes? None but Saudi Aramco.
But here at the Gas Tech Conference in Houston, Texas, one of the biggest natural gas conferences in the world, the reaction was fairly mixed. Everybody was talking about it, some suggesting that perhaps the markets overreacted with their big gains on Monday. But the head of one of the world's leading consulting and research firms in oil and gas says that's not the case.
I don't think they overacted at all. So yes, the price went up 20% and it has now come back a little bit. But this attack has come at a time where supply spare capacity is actually very limited. So it's taken out 5.7 million barrels per day, and that's on top of around another 5 million barrels per day that was already off the market for various reasons.
The question now, of course, becomes what does this do to the global energy markets? Does it add on that so-called risk premium to prices? Well, the head of a Norwegian liquefied natural gas company told us that while this was a very serious incident, his belief is that it was more Saudi-specific than a true global problem.
I would like to think of that as something that is very unusual. So obviously, there are reasons behind that which I don't think you will find other places in the world.
The problem, of course, in this interconnected world, more than 100 countries are represented here at this conference, is that oil and gas prices, they are linked together globally. But the one thing that many U.S. company CEOs hope, and the fact that their stocks have been beaten down so much over the last couple of years, is that this gives renewed attention on the U.S. oil and gas industry. And the CEO of a company making a multi-billion-dollar bet on U.S. natural gas, Sullivan, told us that she thinks this will highlight the American energy revolution.
It really highlights the importance that the U.S. can bring in terms of offering the strategic petroleum reserve, but even other supplies and production as we become one of the largest exporters in the world for not only oil, but for natural gas.
But whatever happens long term, everybody here agrees on one thing. The pace of the last 48 hours simply cannot be sustained, and the world will wait and watch for what may be next. For Nightly Business Report from Houston, Texas, Brian Sullivan.